welcome back to the channel. My name is Jamie. If you are new here, thanks for clicking on today's video. Today is another video of cooking out of my pantry, but in this case today we are cooking out of our refrigerator, and let me show you why. I have this head of cauliflower that I meant to use to make a vegetable tray, and it never ended up working out, and I want to use this head of cauliflower before it goes bad on me. So today we're going to be making a cauliflower chicken soup. And before you say anything, no, it is not another rice cauliflower recipe. Absolutely not. No thank you. My taste buds does not like rice cauliflower. But today the temperatures are supposed to be dropping. Like, we had nearly 80-degree weather, well, nearly 75-degree weather, and a cold front had come in, dropped the temperature. We're supposed to get really darn cold tonight. So I thought a soup recipe would be absolutely perfect for tonight. And what I have going on over here, I have some chicken breast that has been cooking in the crock pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this out. I'm going to shred it up, because for this recipe you're going to want some already cooked chicken and that you can pull apart. So if you have like a rotisserie chicken already that you've already taken off the bones and stuff, this dish will be perfect for that. I do not have a rotisserie chicken already cooked up, so I'm just using some chicken breast that I had in my freezer. I just stuck it in the crock pot, frozen, with a little bit of water, some salt and pepper. We're calling it good. I'm just going to go ahead, take this out, shred it up, and we'll get right into the recipe. So for this recipe, here is what you're going to need. All right, so we've already got our chicken is already cooked and shredded. So the recipe calls for 8 ounces of chicken. This is about 9.5 ounces, so that's perfect. We're going to need about 2.5 cups of chopped up cauliflower. So I don't know what we'll do with the rest of it. Maybe we'll snack on it with some ranch dressing. I have no idea, but we'll go ahead and chop this up in just a minute. It calls for 1 whole carrot, but I need to use up the rest of these baby carrots because they're not getting eaten. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop these up into smaller bites. And I've got, as you can see, this is almost gone, and we need to use up the rest of that. So we're going to get rid of some baby carrots, 1 small onion. The recipe also calls for some grated ginger, but I happen to have some ginger paste in my refrigerator, so we're just going to use that. Some minced garlic, so we're just going to use that. It does call for 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm just going to use the bacon fat. If you saw my last video, my first pantry video, I said that I wasn't buying any more oil, but I have some bacon fat. We'll just do up 2 tablespoons of that, stick it in the microwave, let it cool off a minute. There you go, easy peasy. For seasonings, you're just going to need some pepper, some salt, and some turmeric. I happen to have this on hand, and it's not a seasoning I use often, but I happen to have it. So the recipe also calls for some mint leaves, but I don't have that, so we're just going to skip it. I'm going to go ahead and chop up our cauliflower, and we'll get on with the recipe. I got about 20 ounces of cauliflower right here. It's just about the entire head of cauliflower. So we're going to use this for our soup. This is all that I have left over. This is not a whole lot. I don't think I'm going to be, I can't really eat cauliflower unless I dip it in ranch, and that is just a lot of calories right now. So I think I'm just going to break this up and probably give it to my chickens. They'll really enjoy it. I've got 1 small onion here. I've got half of it chopped. This half I think I'm going to put in a little baggie, and I'm going to save it for maybe some tuna salad or something, or just a different recipe. You know, as much as we love onion, don't like a whole lot of onion. So when recipes call for like an entire onion, I feel like that's just a bit much. So we're just gonna do half, and I'll save this for something else. My baby carrots are cut up, and guess what? I get to throw my little baggies away. Yay! I'm using my Dutch oven. Of course, you could just use whatever large soup pot that you have. I've been heating this for about 3 minutes, just because I wanted to get it good and hot. And you're going to do about a tablespoon of oil. Of course, I am not buying oil anymore. I'm using some bacon fat as my oil. Then you're going to add in your onion, half a teaspoon of turmeric, and I got about 2 cloves of garlic. So I got about 2 teaspoons here. And we're just going to saute this up for about 2 to 3 minutes. That is some beautiful color. You're also supposed to add in half a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes, and this is when you're going to go ahead and add your cauliflower, 2 cups of chicken broth, You're gonna turn this up to a medium high. I'm gonna give it a good stir so it's all coated in the chicken broth. Medium high heat, we're gonna cover it, and you wanna cook it for several minutes. Okay. Woo! All right, so it's been several minutes. Okay, we're gonna turn this down. So now we're gonna go ahead and add the carrots. Now, if you have some fresh grated ginger, you can use that, but like I said, we have ginger paste, so I'll just do about a tablespoon. If you have fresh grated ginger, about a tablespoon and a half. Now, if you do happen to have mint on hand, this is the time when you would add, I think it's like a teaspoon of mint. I'm going to leave the recipe link down in the description box below. But if you have mint and you want to use it, go ahead and throw it in now. I don't have any, so we're going to skip it. So now we're just going to cover this back up, and we're going to let it cook for another 5 more minutes. It's been about 5 minutes. So we let our carrots cook through, and now what we're going to do is, if you have an immersion blender, this is the time when you want to get it out and you want to blend half the soup, but I don't have one of those. So I'm actually going to turn that down a little bit. I'm going to ladle half the soup into my little Ninja mixer here. So that's all I have. That is the best I could do. So I'm going to go ahead and add this back in there. Never actually had to use an immersion blender before, which is why I don't have one. I'm not sure if I want to invest in one. Like I said, I have never used it before, and I don't want to waste money on something I'm only going to use for one recipe. That just seems kind of silly to me. Boy, I thought there would be a lot more liquid in this. We'll call that good. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add our chicken. I'm going to add in a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. Now it says to do 1 more cup of broth, but I really think it's going to need more than that. But we are following the recipe. Let's just see what it does. Yeah, this is not soup. This is supposed to be a soup. This is not soup. We're going to need to add more. Let's just add the rest of this carton and call it a day. Now it's more soupish. I think for a little bit more flavor, I'm going to add another bouillon cube in this. I just feel like it needs more flavor. That'll do it. We're going to go ahead and cover this, let it simmer, marinate with all those little flavors for about 5 more minutes, and we're going to come back and check on it. So it's been additional 5 more minutes. This seems like it has turned out pretty darn good. I'm glad that I added the extra broth because it just made a big difference. All right, I just sprinkled a little bit of parsley just to make it look really pretty, and that is what is for dinner tonight. This looks really good. I've already taken a taste test, and it is absolutely delicious. All right, y'all, dinner for tonight, I'm making some cheesy beef burritos, and what I'm doing over here is I've got that pound and a half of lean ground beef, the 93% lean ground beef that you saw in that pantry challenge video. Oh my gosh, it is getting steamy. So I'm just cooking this up. Once I get it brown, drain all the grease out of it. What we're gonna do, now this is just an option. If you don't have taco seasoning, here's what you can do. So I've got this jar of salsa that I don't want going bad in my refrigerator. We don't use salsa all too much, so I'm just gonna use the rest of this, a can of black beans, and some cheese, and then we're going to mix it all in together with the ground beef, and then you've got yourself some taco meat. So I actually misspoke. The other thing that you're going to need for this recipe is some chili powder. Not a whole lot. I think it's just about a tablespoon. I'm going off of this recipe that I have here, craftrecipes.com. I'll link it down in the description box below. It is super simple. Of course, you don't have to have it like in a burrito form. Sometimes we'll use it for like taco bowls or on hard shell tacos. So this meat mixture is actually perfect because I've got some tortillas that I need to use up. I've got like 1 left in here. I've got a couple in here, and I think Megan's probably going to use the last. I've got like 3 taco shells that I had in my refrigerator, so I'll be able to use all of this up. And then while the meat is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead, shred me some lettuce, cut the bag of limes. They're starting to turn, but like There's still some juice in them. We'll see if we can get something out of there. We got some jarred jalapenos, some sour cream, additional cheese. We won't use all of it. We're just going to use about 2/3 cup of the cheese, and so then we can use the rest of it for, you know, topping our tacos and stuff. So that is what is for dinner tonight, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. We just drained all the fat from the meat. We're going to add it back to the skillet. Add the last of our salsa. We'll turn that down to a medium. About 2 teaspoons of the chili powder, 1 can of black beans, and then a good heaping handful of some cheddar cheese. I want to go ahead and just go ahead and mix this all up until it is good and melty, and then you are ready to go. I'm gonna, just because I'm using 1.5 pounds of ground beef, I'm gonna go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit more of that chili powder in there. Now, if you're just using 1 pound of ground beef, you want to just stick with the 2 teaspoons. That is dinner for tonight, and some things I get to actually throw in the trash, pretty happy about it, is the rest of this jar of salsa. We used up the rest of these tortillas, and I get to throw this bag away that had all the taco shells in it. So, and then there was that one thing of ground beef. So we are working our way through the pantry and fridge. All right, y'all, tonight for dinner, we're making some Cowboy Mac and Cheese. This comes from allrecipes.com. Now, I'm gonna be doubling up their recipe. So what we're gonna start with is because I'm actually cooking this for all the kids at church, I'm gonna be doubling this up. So I've got 2 pounds of ground beef here. I'm using up the last of the 73% ground beef that I had in my freezer. I've got 2 boxes of mac and cheese here. We're gonna use some taco seasoning, some rotel. I got 2 cans. I'm gonna use the last little bit of onion that is in my refrigerator. Of course, with the mac and cheese, you're gonna need some butter and some milk, but I kind of want to make this a richer mac and cheese. So I'm actually going to use the last of the heavy whipping cream that's in here before it goes bad, because I've only got like 2 more weeks. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the first thing we're going to start off with is browning up our ground beef. We're going to drain the fat, add the taco seasoning, cook it up, and then we'll add our onion. So I've got my skillet getting hot here. I got my Now over here, I'm getting this pot of water going for the mac and cheese. Since I am doing 2 boxes, I got a bigger pot over here, so we're just waiting for that to boil. So I drained off the meat, taco seasoning. This would be equivalent to 2 packets. I'll go ahead and stir that in there. Going in with 2 boxes. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good stir. Probably didn't really need to do such a big pot, but we're only going to cook this for about 5 minutes because it's going to go back in the oven and cook a little bit longer. So maybe about 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll drain it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add in our onion. Get that all cooked up in there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add in a can of rotel with the juice. I think 1 can of rotel is going to be plenty, so we're just going to leave it at that. And we're just gonna let all of this cook together beautifully. Going in with a whole stick of butter. Back to the pot. I got the rest of that heavy cream in here, which was a little bit more than a 1/4 cup, and then I topped the rest of it with some of the 2% that I had. And then adding the cheese sauce packet. Oh my God. Okay, so there was a tear in that and I went to shake it down. I literally just flung cheese all over this kitchen. That's fun. So we're gonna go ahead and mix this all in there. Oh, look at this. Y'all see this? I made a huge mess all over here. We got a few casualties over here. Some noodles didn't make it into the pot. I have it, there's like cheese sauce like sprinkled all the way down the floor here. It was all over me. I made a mess. This mac and cheese is coming together really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple more stirs, and we're gonna add this into there. All right, we're gonna mix the 2. Now, if you really want to bump up the protein, in which case I would do this considering the name Cowboy Mac and Cheese, although allrecipes.com, their video, which I'm going to link their video where I got this idea from, they actually call it mac and cheese cowboy cups. Normally, what you would do for this recipe is that you would get a muffin tin and then you would just put them individually into the muffin tin and then make a little well, bake it, let it cool off, and then that way you can do a little dollop of sour cream or something. But since I'm not putting in all of that hard work, because that's just too much for me right now, we're going to call it a little bit easier and just do it in a casserole dish. But we are not done here. But what I was going to say was, if you wanted to bump up the protein in this, especially since it's called Cowboy Mac and Cheese, I would add a can of beans to this, because that sounds delicious. Like a can of chili beans, I think that would be great in there. But I'm going to use up the rest of my pepper jack cheese that I have. I mean, like, as you can see, there's like not a whole lot. I mean, like maybe, I don't know. I don't even think there's like a whole cup in here, but it's going to add some good flavor. And I'm just going to use the rest of that in there. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and spray my dish down and transfer this to a casserole dish. Oh man, of course this is also like a fancy hamburger helper. Just not exactly from the hamburger helper box. But I'm going to spread this out evenly. We're going to up it just a little bit. Look at this. I've got just the tiniest amount of sharp cheddar cheese here shredded. So I'm going to sprinkle this a little bit on the top. Not a whole lot, as you can see. Just a little bit, just to get those cheeses to melt together. And I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in the 350 degree oven, maybe for about 5 to 10 minutes. Check it out, some empties. We got rid of 2 boxes of mac and cheese. I used up the last of the heavy whipping cream, and we got rid of 1 can of Rotel, and the 2 tiny bits of cheese that I had in my refrigerator. Boom, all in the trash. All right, after about 5 minutes, this is how she's looking. Looks pretty tasty. So there you have it, my friends, some Cowboy Mac and Cheese. All right, y'all, so tonight for dinner, we are having air fryer French fried onion chicken tenderloins. And our recipe starts with, I've got some of the chicken breast tenders that I had in my freezer. So you would have seen that in my pantry clean out. That was one of the discount items. So I got a little over, it's about 1.25 pounds of chicken tenderloins. So I found this. So if y'all remember that pantry clean out video that I showed you, I had another bag of French fried onions, but this one is actually already open. So we're gonna use the rest of this. We need about 2 cups of this. So if I don't have enough in here, I've got another bag in the pantry. You're gonna need some flour, some salt, some pepper, 1 egg, and a little bit of milk, and an air fryer. To get us started with this recipe, you're gonna get yourself a gallon Ziploc bag. Just gonna go ahead, open this up. You want to start with your French fried onions, and you need about 2 cups. I'm probably just gonna use the rest of this, but we're gonna measure out 2 cups. Oh my God, and we're gonna make a mess in the process. So that's 1. That's 2. Look at that. It was exactly what was left in here. So look at that. I get to throw something else away. Woohoo! And if you want to, like if you got big pieces and you want to crunch these up just a little bit, that'll be fine too. We're going with 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna go ahead, kind of close that up and just kind of shake it around. It's kind of like a homemade shake and bake. Except we're not baking it, not exactly. We're using the air fryer, which by the way, the recipe asks you to set your air fryer to 400 degrees and you want to preheat it. So I just got done preheating my air fryer for about 4 minutes, and so we should be good to go now. All right, so now that this is ready, I had to walk away for a second just to like double check that recipe. And yeah, I was right. You are definitely going to need to crush up these French fried onions. So one way use your hand, rubber mallet, use your rolling pin. Just give it a good whack if you need to. Your kids aren't going to want to mess with you after this for sure. They see you doing this. So moving that aside, in a small bowl, we're going to go ahead and crack 1 egg using about a tablespoon of milk. Go ahead and whisk that together. You may need to work in batches, but we're gonna go ahead and open up our package of chicken. You gotta make sure that you have one clean hand. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just dredge the chicken. I mean, y'all have probably seen this before. Put it in the egg mixture, dump it in the bag with all the French fried onions, and then we're gonna go ahead and stick it in the air fryer. Of course, depending on how big your air fryer is, that's the part you may need to work in batches. I actually have a pretty decent size air fryer, so I might actually be able to get all of these in there at the same time. So let me throw this away. Now with my dirty hand, I'm gonna go ahead. Now I've already preheated my air fryer, so I don't wanna like set it down on my counter. I don't know, the recipe that I followed, the onions are not sticking very well to the chicken. I've only got 2 left. Okay, I can fit them in there. We're gonna make them fit. It's not sticking to the chicken very well, but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and stick this, oh my gosh, stick this in the air fryer. But before we start our air fryer, what I'm gonna cook up to go with our French fried onion chicken is I'm just gonna roast up these little potatoes. So I'm pretty much just going to cut these up. I'm going to toss these about in some seasoning and some oil, and I'm just going to roast these in the oven. These will probably take maybe about 30 minutes or so. So I don't want to start the chicken just yet because the chicken will be done way before these potatoes will. We're going to get these potatoes in the oven first. My oven is I have my oven set at 420 and it's already ready to go. I got my tray here. So I got my potatoes here. I just heated up about a tablespoon of some bacon grease. I'm gonna pour that over top. Just to use up some of my seasonings that I have, I've got the Kinder's Cowboy butter seasoning that I'm gonna sprinkle on these potatoes and toss them about, and we're gonna roast them. Okay, let's just really get in there. Let's just really get in there. I mean, right? Bacon grease and some cowboy butter. I mean, doesn't that sound delicious? Bacon grease, cowboy butter, and potatoes. That sounds amazing. I have high expectations now. All right, I think we are well coated. I'm gonna go ahead, dump these on the tray. Kind of spread it out a little bit. And I think we're gonna go in the oven for about 30 minutes. Okay, so you got your chicken in the air fryer here, and you want to go ahead and just give it a little spray with some cooking oil there. Get it in here. The recipe that I'm following says to do 400 degrees for 12 minutes. But I like to go by my little chart here that came with my air fryer, y'all. It has not let me down yet. And for chicken tenders like this, it's 360 for 20 minutes. So I've got time to spare because I'm waiting on them potatoes. So that's what I'm gonna do, 360 for 20 minutes. All right, y'all, that is dinner tonight. I just ended up steaming up a bunch of broccoli. These potatoes turned out amazing. Megan is loving them, and the chicken looks awesome too. So that's for dinner.